Dan joins me now. Dan, so much to talk about here, but this is pretty shocking to a lot of people. First, can you tell us about the kind of response that you've received to your story?
You know, it's funny, Karina, as you know, you do these stories and you don't really know what the response is going to be, but there's something about this story that has just got people's imaginations across the country. The story has been picked up by the New York Post. The story has been picked up by an online media site out of London, and of course, all the papers in the Bay Area. And for us, the response online, thousands of comments, people really taking both sides. You know, number one, there are some who say, oh, leave the guy alone if he's doing a good job. And then, of course, you have the others that say, this is taxpayer money. He should be there if there's an emergency. So there's a heated and really a healthy debate going on online.
And this is even more surprising to me. The chief is allegedly not the only one in the department living far outside the Bay Area.
Right. As I explained in the story, the chief of police is actually employed by the sheriff's department. He's assigned to be the chief of police, but he is a sheriff's department employee. And I have figured out through record searches and through talking to sources that at least 6 sergeants also live out of state in places like Texas and Idaho, even Tennessee. And there were a couple of guys on the bomb squad. Now, they're supposed to respond within 60 minutes to a bomb threat. But one of these guys, who makes upwards of $600,000 a year, lives in Tennessee. Now, there's no way he's going to be making it back within an hour to respond to a bomb threat if he's in Tennessee.
Yeah, and I know you're going to be following up on that specifically. But Dan, so I have to make sure we're clear on this. Is there really no specific rule saying that someone in those key safety positions has to live within a specific range?
I think that in a lot of ways, people just thought it was common sense. Of course you wouldn't live in Idaho if you're the chief of police and have to be here if something major happens. But people have pushed the rules, they have kind of pushed the boundaries. And I've done this story for other departments around the Bay Area. The fire department in San Francisco found people living in Minnesota, that sort of thing. And so each department is different. So bottom line, Millbrae apparently has no rule against the chief of police living in another state. They thought, hey, it's common sense, he's got to be here, but they are really considering taking some drastic action, including basically firing the sheriff department, firing Chief Allen from working there, maybe getting, say, San Bruno to provide police services for Millbrae.
As you mentioned, common sense, you wouldn't think you'd have to put that law in writing.
Right.
So is there any inclination as to why he just wouldn't live in the Bay Area?
You know, a lot of them talk, the people who do this, who live out of state, talk about the cost of living. And clearly, it is expensive to live in the Bay Area. But, you know, if you can commute 45 minutes or an hour, you can definitely find a more inexpensive place to live. And, you know, the chief of police makes over $400,000, upwards of $450,000 last year. So one could argue that he could afford it.
You mentioned what was done with the locks at the police station. That also caught my eye. Is that in violation of any rule, Dan?
You know, a couple of things. We talked about that bottle of liquor, that half-gallon handle of liquor. Now, that's a definite violation of both city and county policy. You can't have booze in a police station. I mean, come on. But in terms of the locking, I mean, think about it. If something happened and the building maintenance teams had to get into that area to, say, fight a fire or to rescue someone, they couldn't get access to it. So yeah, I mean, there are rules that Chief Allen should not have been changing the locks at the police station. Again, one would think that's common sense in a way, but apparently not. And so the city's taking action on that. In fact, I'm going to be heading out this evening to go to Millbrae to watch a city council meeting and talk to people about what's happening.
Okay, so there might be changes happening, steps taken about this situation, and
Absolutely.
We will follow up with you on that.
Absolutely.
Dan, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Karina.